we are moving forward with establishing a new crime of hate. This will operate by layering on top of existing criminal offences with a new offence that will specifically target hate where that crime was committed because of their motivation of hatred towards the victim. You can imagine that it may be more morally culpable for a person who assaults another, not just because of a personal problem they may have, but because of their belonging to a community. If a person robs a store because the owner comes from a particular group, or if a person commits harassment against someone who is seeking to attend university classes merely because they belong to a particular community of faith or race.
Canada loves freedom, only not yours. Canada is introducing Bill C-9, a law to fight hate. On the surface, that sounds great, right? Everybody should fight hate, until you actually read it. Until you realize what it's doing is making your opinion a criminal offense. Because remember, nothing says freedom like being arrested for expressing it. Here are the issues with Bill C-9, and there's a lot of issues. Number one, it tries to get rid of the Attorney General. Who's that? Let's say someone's trying to charge you with hate propaganda. The Attorney General has to sign off on it. There's due process. Like a referee trying to make sure have laws actually been broken. You're innocent until proven guilty, remember? Bill C-9 says, yeah, that guy just gets in the way. Now, who gets to determine if your protest or if your post online is hateful? The police. I don't see how this could ever go wrong. This bill gives the police all the power to make subjective decisions based on feelings of fear. Which takes us to the second issue of the bill. It's banning anything that could provoke fear or obstruct access to protected spaces. Now again, high level, no one should be living in fear. No one should be prevented from accessing basic amenities, places of worship, schools, etc. Until you read further. It is so vague that if someone feels intimidated, you could be deemed as committing a criminal offense. Not because of something objective, because of something as subjective as a feeling. Welcome to Canada, where feelings are the law. They've also expanded the meaning of protected spaces, which now technically could be any building at all. Any place could be deemed a protected space. So you cannot protest in front of a protected space, but when anything is a protected space, then protesting, freedom of speech and expression are outlawed. A peaceful rally becomes a hate crime. And then there's the whole banned symbols part. I'm not even going to get into how outlandish that even is. But literally, when the government can't debate your ideas, they just ban your symbols. Classic freedom move. So ultimately, Bill C-9 gives law enforcement much more power. It gives them less oversight and can turn, I disagree with your opinion, to you're under arrest. While it's supposed to fight hate, it's actually fighting dissent. But hey, don't quote me on that because it might provoke fear. And I don't want to get arrested.
I just don't buy that Canada's actually trying to do something good with this new law because it feels very in line with the shift towards censorship across the globe, as well as the unanimous protection towards that one country that's breaking the ceasefire right now. The Combating Hate Act. I'll explain. Due to the rise of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, and transphobia, they have created this act to better protect, quote, access to places of worship, as well as schools, community centers, and other specified places, and to more clearly address and denounce hate-motivated crimes. They're attempting to amend their criminal code to make it a crime to block identifiable groups from going to those places, like their school, their church, or wherever. They also want to make hate-motivated crimes a separate offense so that it's easier to denounce and go after. They also want to codify what hatred means as a crime. They also want to make it a crime to promote hatred towards certain groups using specific symbols or this word in public. And they also want to remove the need for the Attorney General to give consent to lay propaganda charges on people. Like most laws that are coming out right now across the world trying to protect the people, they seem okay on the surface. But with little faith left in just about any governing body, I would be weary and see where this goes. If you are Canadian, it would be in your best interest to pay attention and make sure this doesn't turn into censorship and foreign protection.
Today we're going to talk about the hate law in Canada. Section 319. Disclaimer, this video is for education and awareness purposes. It's not to promote hate or political agenda and discrimination. Let's get to it.
Here's what you need to know to avoid being charged with hate speech as a result of participating in any protests in Canada right now. Number one, here is what the hate speech law says in Canada. The hate speech law says that you cannot promote hate by communicating statements in a public place that promotes hatred against an identifiable group or that incites hatred against an identifiable group if that incitement of hatred is likely to lead to a breach of the peace. There's also a specific criminal offense in Canada for promotion of anti-Semitism by engaging in any sort of public statements that condone, deny, or downplay the Holocaust, and that itself is a specific criminal offense. There are defenses to these offenses. For example, if you establish that the statements that you're communicating are true, then that would be a defense to a potential hate speech charge. Similarly, if you establish that you're attempting to express an argument or an opinion on a religious subject or based in a belief in a religious text, then that could be a defense to a hate speech charge. If the statements are relevant to a subject of public interest and the discussion of which is for the benefit of the public and on reasonable grounds you believe them to be true, that could be a defense to a potential hate speech or incitement of hatred charge. And finally, if you intend to point out the hate speech for the purpose of removing hate speech, in that you're saying this is what is being said in this hate speech, please take it down, then that hate speech can be excused because you're not actually attempting to promote hatred, you're attempting to remove the hateful thing. The problem with these defenses is that these are defenses that you would raise after being charged. They don't necessarily shield you at a protest, for example, from being arrested for expressing any particular opinion on any particular geopolitical issue. So you need to be very careful that, first of all, if you are expressing that opinion and it is something that could be interpreted by law enforcement as hate speech, that you are prepared to defend yourself in court and willing to be arrested and have to raise this issue in court. Generally speaking, though, if you are going to participate in protests and make public statements about geopolitical issues that are going on right now, the types of statements that you make should shy away from sort of blaming any particular group as a result of immutable characteristics about themselves, making any statements about people on the basis of their religious or ethnic origins as a whole that is designed to make other people feel hatred towards them. You can point out wrongs that you believe a community is doing without inciting or promoting hatred against that community. You can say, I don't agree with the actions of this particular group of individuals, and here's why I believe the actions of this particular group of individuals is wrong, without saying we should cause harm to this particular group of individuals, or we all should find that this particular group of individuals is vile. And it's a very fine line, but when you're protesting, you should always make sure that you're expressing your opinion in a way that doesn't violate hate speech laws, because simply because something is protest doesn't amount to a defense. It requires a little bit more than that, including a reasonable belief that it's true and that the discussion is for the public benefit on a subject of public interest. So if you're not sure that what you're saying is defensible in that basis, you should try and think about a different way to convey what you are saying and to get your message across that doesn't run the risk of getting you arrested for hate speech. These are very volatile times and very volatile conversations that are taking place. And it's important to ensure to protect yourself that when you are expressing an important publicly communicated position on a political issue or on an issue of national or international importance, that you do so first in a way that protects yourself, while recognizing that, of course, in Canada, we also have this amazing protection of being able to freely engage in speech without being censured by the government, so long as we stay within the bounds of what is appropriate and not promote hate or incite hate and cause people to commit offenses as a result of hatred that they feel.
So the Canadian government has now decided that it's going to actually bring in laws for a two-tier justice system. If you're wondering what that is, just look at the UK. Basically, that means that if you're not Canadian and if you're an illegal or an immigrant of a different country, you're allowed to commit whatever crimes you want and you're going to get away with it because apparently you don't know our customs or our ways or our laws. And so by letting you get away with these crimes, you're eventually going to learn and kind of, just blend in with society. Yeah, let me just show you this. Canada introduces legislation to combat hate crimes, intimidation, and obstruction. There is a horrifying rise in hate crimes in our communities, and Canada will not tolerate anyone being made to feel afraid because of who they are, unless you're like a Christian and have traditional values and don't want to be vaccinated. Anyway, how they worship. Unless you're a Christian, then you're going to get persecuted like the Christian singer that has been, traveling through Canada. Or where they gather. Again, unless you're Christian. Rising anti-Semitism caused by our Canadian government because they literally hate everybody except for those who want to destroy our country. Islamophobia doesn't actually exist in Canada because you're allowed to do whatever, including burning the flag and shouting death to Canada. Homophobia and transphobia have left too many people feeling unsafe in their own communities. Let's see about that. It is accurate that Canadian judges have, in some cases, issued conditional discharges to non-citizen offenders to avoid hindering their immigration and citizenship application. In late 2023, Ashka Kumar, that dude, a permanent resident from India, was arrested after attempting to solicit sexual services from what he believed to be a 15-year-old girl, and the girl was an undercover police officer. What did the judge do? Yeah, she just pretty much discharged him because she didn't want him having a criminal record. Oh, a trans-identifying Canadian man charged with stabbing his own 2 children. He actually slit their throat. By the way, he's out, and he was out 2 days after. The only reason why this sex offender who raped a 3-year-old girl in Welland, Ontario hasn't been transferred to a woman's jail is because there was a protest outside, but now those protesters are being hunted down by the cops. Liberalism. Where you're so open-minded, your brain falls out. And if you actually see the truth for what is happening, you call people racist. Right? Let's look at Sweden, how liberalism has turned out for them. Oh shit, look at that. Baghdad safer than Sweden. Go figure. This is exactly what's happening in the UK, where the minority come in, take your government, and then use that government against you to bring in their own. Like London's mayor, Sad Dick? I don't know what the hell his name is, let me show you. So Sad little Dick Khan, sparks row with Islam-focused policies for London. Is it racist to point out the truth? Is it? Because that's literally what's happening. Meanwhile, Christians aren't allowed to worship without a permit. Meanwhile, you're getting called an extremist for having traditional views. But yeah.
That means you could be locked up in federal prison for 7 years because you said something that could be considered hateful. What the hell is Bill C-9? Bill C-9 creates a brand new offense for hate. Now, hate is broad and can be subjective, and that itself can get you imprisoned. And by the way, when we're talking about imprisonment here, this new bill will increase prison time for hate-motivated mischief and speech from 2 years to 7 years.
How the fuck does this make any sense? Canada is literally turning into China right in front of our eyes. They just dropped a new hate crime bill that will allow the minister ban you off the internet. No trials, no warrant. And the best part is, you're not even allowed to say you're banned. Think about this. They can call anything hate crime. You speak out, ban. You question the government, ban. You share something they don't like, ban. And this is how they silence people. Online is the only place we can unite, share ideas, and see the actual truth. But if they pull the plug on you, you're done, gone. No voice, you don't even know what's happening around. And don't tell me this is not communist bullshit, because this is exactly what communist regimes do. They silence opposition and call it safety. You guys remember COVID? That was their test run. They pushed and Canadians rolled over. They saw how far they can go, and now they're going further. This bill is the Emergency Act on steroids. This is not democracy. This is a slow walk right into fucking communism. And Canadians are allowing it piece by piece. If you don't stand up right now, while you still can, you're gonna wake up in a country where freedom is gone and it's way too late to fight. Wake the fuck up, Canada. Share this, speak out, and do something before we're completely silenced out.
Let's start by the basic. A hate crime isn't just any crime. It's one motivated by bias, prejudice, or hate towards a person's identity. That includes race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, disability, or ethnic backgrounds. For example, if someone vandalizes a church, a synagogue, or a mosque because of someone who worships there, that's not just property damage. It's a hate crime. Canada's criminal code has a specific section that deals with hate-related offense. Section 318 bans advocating genocide, meaning calling for the destruction of an identifiable group. Section 319(1) prohibits public incitement of hate, like encouraging others to harm or discriminate against a group. Section 319(2) bans willful promotion of hate, for example, spreading hate propagandas publicly. These laws cover both speech and actions, and they come with serious petitions involving jail time. The law protects what's called identifiable group. These include people defined by their race, color, nationality, or ethnic origin, region, sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression, age, or disability. The goal is to make sure no one is targeted simply for being who they are. Now, here is where things get tricky. Freedom for speech. Canada charters over rights and freedoms protects free expression, but it's not unlimited. You can express opinions, criticize institutions, or debate ideas, but you cannot promote hate or violence towards a group. The Supreme Court of Canada decided this is a famous case called R.V. Kegstra, where a teacher was convicted for spreading anti-Semitic hate in the classroom. A court ruled that hate speech causes real harm and restrictions. It is a reasonable limit in a democratic society. Despite these laws, hate incidents in Canada have been increased. Between 2019 and 2022, police reported hate crimes rose by more than 80%. These include attacks against Black, Jews, Muslims, and LGBTQ community. Social media has also amplified hate speech, making it easier for extremists to spread misinformation and target others. That's why many Canadians are calling for strong laws and better enforcement. In 2025, the federal government introduced a major update, the Combating Hate Act. The law adds new protections and penalties. One which is it criminalize intimidation or obstruction people going to worship schools or community centers. The second one is it bans the public display of hate symbols such as Nazi or terrorist imaginary. The third one is it makes it easy for police to lay hate-related charges without needing special consent from the Attorney General. The message is clear. Hate has no place in Canada public life. Online platforms are another battlefield. Hate speech spread fast through Facebook and Twitter and TikTok. Canadians lawmakers are exploring digital politics that hold tech companies responsible for removing hate content. But it's a fine balance because removing contents too quickly can also silence a legitimate voice. So the question remains, how do you protect people and protect free speech at the same time? In cities like Toronto and Montreal, hate crimes have shaken entire communities. People of color, religious minorities, and immigrations often say they don't feel safe for represented. Meanwhile, others fear that hate laws could be misused, that some people could be punished just for speaking their minds. It's a complex issue, one that requires dialogue, education, and empathy on all sides. At the end of the day, hate laws aren't about silencing opinions. They are about protecting people. They remind us that words can harm, divide, and even incite a violence. Canada's goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Every change, every conviction, every discussion brings the country one step closer to equality. Hate laws are not just written in legal codes, they are part of Canada's moral fabric. They say you can disagree, you can debate, but you cannot dehumanize. Whether it's online, in school, or in politics, the fight against hate continues, and it begins with awareness, because in a diverse country like Canada, protecting each other isn't just law, it's love. Now, tell me in the comment section, what are your thoughts about this hate law? Do you agree with it or do you disagree with it? Drop a comment and tell me your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions like this. Let's meet on the next one.